This is a JW Benson watch, and I've reviewed another one, or I talked about another one from my collection a while back. I kind of like JW Benson watches. I love the design of their dial, and particularly the railroad track that goes around the edge of the dial. And the company doesn't exist anymore, and they stopped making movements for their watches after World War I when their factory was destroyed. But I still love their watches. This is, for example, a 1950s watch. I think they stopped making them altogether in the 1960s. But something speaks to me about the design of these watches and the font used in the watch name and everything. It just is beautiful. And the offset or the sub-dial for the seconds. Yeah, it's pretty great. So this one was made sometime in the 1950s, and it's a manual Swiss movement, not Swiss, I'm sorry, Smiths movement. Smiths being an English company, not a Swiss company. That is their actual name, Smiths. There are also Smiths watches out there, if you're interested. This one has 16 rubies, and it's a wonderful story because I found this watch on eBay and it was in terrible, terrible shape. And I bought it not knowing how well it was going to come out after I sent it in for service. And I'll post some photos of how it looked when I got it. It was just in pretty ridiculous shape. And that's why I got it for a little less than the price that these watches typically go for. And I believe they've even gone up price in recent years. After I got it back from service, I could not believe how well it looked. I mean, this is pretty much how it looked after I got it back. I mean, I have worn it since, and I tend to wear my watches when I do repairs around the house. And so sometimes, you know, they see some dust, they see some rubble, they may, the plexiglass may get scratched, but that's why I buy them. I buy them and I restore them so I can use them as I would use any watch. And then if something happens to it, I'll send it in to get it fixed again. Yeah. Okay. So I'll post some photos of the mechanism as well. The Smiths mechanisms are pretty neat because you don't even have to look at the watch to find out what mechanism it is. You just have to turn the crown. And I'll show you in just a bit. It's a very distinctive sound. When you turn the crown on a watch that has a Smiths movement, it sounds like this. Very few other watches have that sort of sound. Actually, none other than the Smiths watches, to my knowledge. And that's because, you'll see in one of the photos that I post at the end. Actually, let me put that photo on screen right now. It doesn't have the winding wheel. The crown winds the spring, of course, right? And there's a catch mechanism that holds that spring in place as you wind it up as tighter and tighter. And on a normal watch, that catch mechanism is made of a hook. And so the sound you hear when you turn the crown on a typical watch is the hook sort of advancing tooth by tooth on that gear that's holding the spring in place. Well, on a Smiths watch, it's not a hook. It's an actual strip of metal set in what I guess I would call a resonating chamber. It looks very different, and you can see it right here at the top of the screen. You see that rectangular slit at the top of the movement? That is the strip of metal that's catching the gear that holds the spring in place. And that's a distinctive sound you hear when you wind the Smith's watch. It's pretty neat. It's something different that you don't see on other watches. Yeah, so for this watch I had to replace, of course, the plexiglass, which was broken. The watchmaker did a very, very nice cleaning of the dial, which is in terrible shape. And polished a bit the steel case around the watch and the back of it too. And also replaced the crown, which is very, very worn down, and also, yeah, didn't work properly inside. The way it connected with the gears of the watch, it just wasn't right, and it didn't wind it up properly. And I'm just checking the notes here from the watchmaker. The spring had to be replaced as well, the main spring. And of course the watch got a general revision, is what he calls it. It's where he takes all of it apart, checks all the pieces, and lubricates them, puts them back together, and then tests the watch to make sure it's working properly. So that's what happened here, and it's a lovely watch, and I love wearing it. Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.